Hello again, football fans. Welcome to Friday Night Varsity Preview. We're going to get into Season 2 right here. I'm Schoonmaker, Dan Spears. Dan, playoffs.
It's here. So it's a good time. We talked last Friday about who was going to get in and who wasn't. Turns out everybody got in, which is good for them, and makes for a very busy Friday night. So it'll be just like a regular season around here. The problem is if you lose this one, you got to turn everything in. So,
and we have a lot of games. We have all our teams in, which means we're going to be playing a lot of teams. Some teams you may not figured out. We're going to do things a little bit different today. So instead of bringing you the prop box and bringing you our actual picks, what we're going to do is give you a little bit of insight of the 8 games you can pick before you pick them this week.
That's right. Like I said, all the picks are up at starnewsvarsity.com and on the blog there. Also, the winners of our regular season championship are announced on there. It was a 3-way tie, amazingly enough, decided by last week's Whiteville-South Brunswick thriller. So you can go on there, check out the 8 picks, make your picks on there by Friday night at 7 o'clock, and see if you can beat us over the final 5 weeks of the season.
Yep, well, let's get into the first games.
Sure.
4AA, Laney's at home. They got a Wakefield team, 4-5 matchup. Tell me a little bit about it.
This is another track meet. We've said that a lot this year, and that's because the offense have really become explosive. But these two teams average the same amount of points on offense. They average the same amount of points on defense. And there'll be a lot of points scored in this game. Whatever they say, if somebody says 28-28, go higher. So, like I said, but I think Laney gets advantage for playing at home, and I think they get advantage because their defense has played well the last 2 weeks.
I'm going to have to agree with you. 33-25 is kind of what these two teams are averaging. I expect it to be into that 30s for both teams. Expect a fun one at Laney.
Absolutely, and nice to see Laney back in the playoffs, and back in the playoffs with a home game. So Bucks will be playing, like I said, at home Friday night at 7:30.
Next one we talked about, also a team from the Mid-Eastern, Hoggard. They go to Clayton in a game that really on paper doesn't look that even, but it might be more close than you think.
I was going to say, Hoggard comes into the game on a roll, and as much as we talked about how Laney's defense has been playing well the last couple weeks, Hoggard's defense has been even better. Since the loss to Laney, they've really started locking down people. Rose, shut down Ashley, shut down New Hanover. They're only 4-7. We've talked about this, but boy, when you have a good defense going to the playoffs, anything can happen at that point.
The one thing I worry a little bit about is they have to travel. Clayton's a 4-2 team at home this year. They play in a very difficult conference with Southeast Raleigh, so tough team, tough schedule, and they've really played well at home.
Sure.
Go to another Mid-Eastern team, New Hanover. They've got Southern Durham this week. Very, very tough competition right there. This
is a rematch of last year, and I believe the third round of the playoffs when New Hanover went up to Southern Durham and pulled the upset to get to make it all the way to the East Final last year. Again, we said it last week. We'll say it again this week. If Bates Taylor plays, New Hanover has a chance to win. If Bates Taylor does not play, New Hanover's behind the 8 ball big time.
Southern Durham might be a little bit more down than last year. They started out 0-6 this year. They had to win their final 5 to get where they are. They did so. So they're a hot team as well.
Exactly, and that's another tough thing that New Hanover will be fighting is momentum. But they know that they can go up there and win against a team that they've seen before. So there won't be as many surprises for them as there will for some of our other schools that are playing somebody they'd never even heard of before.
Let's shift gears just a little bit. We got East Bladen. We got North Johnston. A good one right there. East Bladen had to play their way in a little bit.
Yeah, this is 2A Mid-East. This should be an interesting game. This is, again, a team that likes to put up a lot of points at home in North Johnston. East Bladen, as you know, running back. A.J. McCoy, Antonio Murchison, they like putting points on the board. The only problem is East Bladen was giving them up a little more often than North Johnston. I credit that to the top of the Waccamaw being incredibly talented, incredibly heavy this year. I think East Bladen has a really good shot at this one. It's, again, like you said before, this is a road game, and those are always tough to do in the playoffs.
And the other thing, North Johnston's given up just 160 points on the year. They've had 6 different games where they've given up 10 points or less, 3 shutouts included there. 2 really good defenses, North Johnston especially.
Yeah, I agree.
Continuing the 2A Midwest, Whiteville. They've got a test this week.
Whiteville, that's my team after last week. They let me go 8-0. I really do like what they have. They're healthy. They have a great coach. Remember, folks, Baxter Morris won a state championship last year at Albemarle before coming to Whiteville. This is a guy that knows what he's doing. He knows how to play football on the road in the playoffs. This Scarborough team is 8-3. This is a relatively new school. They've only been around for about 5 years now. This is their first real taste of success.
Yep.
Whiteville knows what it takes to win in the playoffs. I'm smelling an upset here. I don't know how many other people are, but I just think Whiteville's schedule has been incredibly difficult, and they are not going to be fazed by this.
Very tough schedule for Whiteville. They've alternated wins and losses over their last 6 games. They're coming off a win, a big one, a high energy win, and they go on the road.
Yep.
Look out, but if you're saying upset, I wouldn't go against it at all.
Like I said, that'll be a good one. And then finally, also in 2A Mid-East, this is a rematch from earlier in the season. North Brunswick, which is fallen into a mess, unfortunately, here at the end of the season against the Fairmont team, coached by former Hoggard assistant Keith Wood. They ended up winning the Three Rivers Conference last week. That game will be in Fairmont.
And this is a game where 2 teams go in 2 different directions right here.
Big time.
North Brunswick has lost 5 in a row. Fairmont has won 5 in a row. That doesn't say so much about how good these 2 teams are, can be, have been playing, all of that. This is one that can go either way in a game of 2 streaking teams. I have no idea what's going to happen. North Brunswick very well could pull this one out on the road. I happen to like home teams in the playoffs. We'll see how that one plays out.
Yeah, the only thing that I think plays to North Brunswick's advantage is they won that earlier matchup earlier this year, and it was in Fairmont. So
another rematch of earlier this year, James Keenan at Union. This one, the home team won the first game. The home team is also home again in Union.
yeah, this was the game right here that Ken Avent said really kind of changed their season around. They had a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter and lost. And the Tigers went on and won out, except for the last game against Wallace when they played really, really well. He said they've played excellently since that game. Union, had losses to Lakewood and Wallace and Pender, so they're coming in a little bit down on the record side, but it's not like they were playing bad teams in there.
Right.
This one's going to be a thriller again. I'm guaranteeing that one.
You know, James Keenan, when they win, they're scoring about 35 points per game. When they lose, they're not quite getting to that 30 threshold. Union's defense 6 times this year has given up 10 points or less. Who shows up? Is it Keenan's offense? Is it Union's defense? Whichever one of those 2 shows up wins this one. I have got no doubts.
Yeah, I think whoever gets off to a relatively early lead in this one, I think will hold on. They're just so close.
And the final one that we're going to talk about of the 8 that you can pick online, this is also a rematch. This one, I think, goes back to week 9.
Yes.
East Columbus at Red Springs.
Yeah, another Three Rivers battle here. East Columbus got a big win that they needed at the end of the season in the last game. That kind of gets them in on a little bit of a roll. Really, again, East Columbus has struggled in the playoffs in the past. This is a great chance for them to get a win. If Chris McClure and their defense show up, I think they can win this game. But again, this is all of these games, all these rematch games were tight the first time, and that's the amazing part. None of these were blowouts. It's not like, oh, this is gonna be cake. These were all tight games the first time around.
Absolutely.
The losers can win, the winners can lose. This is just another one of those.
I like East Columbus in this one for the sheer fact that they had to win 3 of their last 4 to get in.
Right.
And they did that. They're hot right now. They knew what they had in front of them. They know what they have in front of them this week. It's familiar to them. So I like a road team to win there.
Yeah, this is one of those, like I said, I know you're a big fan of the home team, but again, the roadies can win any of these. So.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into the full schedule. I know there's a bunch of games on our sheet this week.
Yeah.
A lot of them we've already talked about. Wakefield at Laney, of course. Rose at Newbern in a Mid-Eastern battle in the opening round in the 4A. That's going to be a good one. Newbern is really playing well, and undefeated says it all right there. Hoggard at Clayton. New Hanover at Southern Durham we talked about also. In the 3AA, West Brunswick at South Central. In the 3A, Washington at South Brunswick. South Brunswick earned a 3 seed despite their 9-2 record. In the 2AA, Topsail gets in. They're the 8 seed, and they play Northeastern.
And they're going to have to go a long way for that one. That game is up in Elizabeth City. Northeastern has won 9 games in a row. Everybody says that conference in Northeast Coastal isn't the strongest one in the state, but boy, having to travel 5 hours on a bus, God, that's the part that Topsail coach Brian Davis is really going to have to overcome with his team. How do you get your team off the bus and onto the field quickly?
There's plane flights that you take instead.
Way shorter, yes.
Northwest Halifax at East Duplin in the Class 2A. Northside at a very tough, very high-scoring Rowan Rapids team that's 10-1. Franklinton is at South Columbus. South Columbus will host that one as the 1 seed. East Bladen will be at North Johnston, we talked about. Whiteville at Carborough. North Brunswick at Fairmont. Moving to the 1AA, Dixon at Southwest Onslow. Trask gets a 6th seed, and they'll be playing number 3, Aiden Grifton.
That one will be tough for the Titans. Aiden Grifton lost the Carolina Conference Championship game last week, the de facto championship game against Goldsboro. They'll be a little peeved about that one. The Chargers always play well at home. They've made several deep playoff runs, and they usually end up playing Pender at some point, although it would take a state semifinal matchup this year. But that's always a good team around here.
James Keenan at Union. Eastern Montgomery at number 3, Pender. Pender gets a 3 seed at 8-2. East Columbus 4-7. They are at Red Springs. We talked about that. Lejeune gets the 8, and they will be at Wallace Rose Hill in the Class 1A.
Yeah, that Wallace will start off with a team that it should have no trouble with, and I have a feeling we're going to be saying that for a couple of rounds.
Absolutely. I mean, you play yourself through the season undefeated. You expect to get that game that you should win in that opening round, and hopefully 2 rounds. I think they've set themselves up for that. The people that make the brackets have acknowledged that as well. So.
Yep. It's here. Let's get it started.
That's all we have left.
Yeah. Check back Friday. We'll have the live chat at starnewsvarsity.com. Live scoreboard from everywhere. We'll be covering 5 games with writers this week, 3 games on the flashback video. Like I said, chat, blogs, thoughts, everything. It's all up there. I know it is. I even looked this morning. So
you're already on the website. Keep checking it out, guys.